What up, everybody? This is Tiggy Maximus with Tiggy Maximus Talks, episode 95 on YouTube. Well, thank you guys for listening to all these episodes or watching all these episodes. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe or follow all these episodes and the podcast channel, Tiggy Maximus Talks. And also, if you had a chance to, feel free to make a small donation to the podcast through Spotify. Spotify for podcasters. There is a link. If you feel like you want to donate some money, I totally appreciate that. Um, so, on this episode, number 95, I want to talk about a few things. Um, I did go to a comedy show at the Belly Up Tavern in Solana Beach. Great looking venue. Um, Big stage once you kind of go in. And then you got a bunch of portraits of various musicians, and I guess it has I guess it's like gold records and stuff kind of on this one wall when you go in. And then um, the middle of the floor has all the seats. And then you have this big stage at the end of this big, um, I guess you could say, the main floor. So, my first time actually there. So, the show had an opener. One of my favorite comedians, Kimbles, Hume, she opened the show. She did her set. She has some new stuff. That's pretty cool. She kind of mixed in some of her old stuff too, which is always fun to hear. She talks a lot about her kids, um, basically a family life. So, and then the fact that she had twins, um, that's her bread and butter. So, it's always a joy to see her live. Um, I would say for most of her set, I kind of felt that there were a lot of laughs. Though, of course, I like to say this a lot, but it was in parts of the crowd throughout the set. It wasn't like at the same time. Um, but overall, though, I thought Kimball's Hume set was an 8.3 out of 10. Um, I mean, you do get a lot of the jokes, how she talks about her twins and family. Um, but, just seeing her quite a bit now at various venues, various lineups. Um, but I think from what I can tell is that other than doing the later improv with Adam and Brad Williams, Adam Carolla and Brad Williams, she just usually just talks about her kids and family. So um, I mean, granted, I do like her sets, and getting used to her sets, I can always appreciate it. But given that I'm the type that I kind of like something new, um, it wasn't so much like the new content, but it was just usually just new jokes about twins and kids, actually. So I'm kind of hoping at some point that Kimball's might be uh, talking about something else other than her kids. But hey, if that's the bread and butter, I mean, you can keep going to the well and keep churning out some more new jokes. Um, there's always something new you could say about your kids and family. So there's always a way to tap into the same topic, and comics can be very creative. So especially when they really think about one topic in particular. So, but overall, yeah, I would say 8.3 for Kimbles Hume. Next up, we got the man of the hour, Adam Carolla. He did some stand up, and technically, some of his stand up, his jokes kind of had a bit of a, kind of a racial vibe to it. Um, but overall, it was pretty good. Um, I thought maybe his stand up was probably an 8 point, uh, let's say 8.55, give or take. Um, and then, technically, there wasn't any actual stand up from Brad Williams, because it kind of went straight into the format of the Adam Carolla show, his podcast. Um, so at that point, it was Kimball Sim on stage with Adam Carolla and then Brad Williams. So all three were on stage. It's really cool seeing them together. Pretty funny group. Nice to feed off of each other. They talked about like various topics, like penises and what did Kimball's Hume's dad used to do. Apparently, he used to be the editor for the the newspaper in the UK, and I guess he may or may not have been behind the idea of the page three models or the page three girls. So it's always like racy content, and they would put it on page three of that paper in the UK. And I guess Kimbles had to verify that, yeah, that was her dad that did that. So, and Adam Carolla brought up something about a lady named Lindsay, uh, um, Don McKenney or something, and apparently Kimball's dad had did some sort of countdown for the paper to count when Lindsay was going to turn 16, because turning 16 was like the legal age in the UK. So I guess a lot of like guys are just waiting for her to turn into legal age. So that was being brought up. Um, I think Adam. There's a thing where Adam does where he has Kimball's pick a ball from the ball cage, and then there's always like a various topic that they will just kind of go off of to do improv off of whatever the word is on the ball. And apparently, I guess the word childhood was picked in the balls, and then there's the ball penis. Um, but this is where it gets interesting because, um, okay, so for one, Adam had asked Kimbles in the crowd and Brad, like, compare your childhood versus being a child in the Nick Cannon household. And given that Nick Cannon has spawned a lot of kids, but the fact that he has so much money that he could do so, like, um, what kind of childhood would you want? Would you want your own that you grew up in, or would you want the kind of the one where Nick Cannon just gives you money and gives you whatever you want growing up? But the fact that it's kind of hard to have a bond with all your siblings when there's so many of them supposedly, and Nick Cannon is your dad who's super busy. Um, and then I guess there was a segment where when they talked about penises, that Brad Williams had answered the question that most people would ask is how big is it for someone of Brad's size? And Brad would say 6 inches. And 6 inches for someone like Brad is huge. Um, but I guess 6 inches for a normal guy may or may not be big or something. And Brad can boast to the fact that 6 inches basically means that you have your penis size basically touching your knee. And everybody laughed. So honestly, I kind of like to see a full comedy set coming from Brad, but I thought I was kind of anticipating that going to the show, but unfortunately, I didn't get that. But I can see that he's a funny guy though, so hopefully down the road I'll get to see more of his comedy. Um, Overall, I thought the Adam Carolla show with all three doing improv and just running the show, the podcast, I thought it was a an 8.4 out of 10. So it was actually my second time being a part of the audience for the Adam Carolla podcast show. So that was fun. Um, so interesting thing happened after the show. So once the show was over, Adam Carolla did say on the mic that him and his crew, Brad Williams and Kimbles Hume, will be taking pictures by the exit when you leave. So, I'm kind of excited for myself because, I wanted to take a picture with Brad Williams. So the first thing I noticed was when the show had ended and he announced that I did see Brad Williams by the stage taking pictures. But the first person I ran into was Kimbles Hume. So I'm very familiar with her. We're friends. And I told her, great show. Congratulations on her stand up and stuff. And we got a picture. We talked for a little bit. And I was doing the nice thing where, Kimbles had some new fans and I volunteered to take a picture for the fans and with Kimbles. So I'm pretty sure they're happy about that. I did that various times throughout the next 10, 20 minutes or something. Because, I'm that kind of guy that will volunteer to do that for you. So I got a picture with her, and then there was a line for Adam Carolla to take pictures, and I was in that line. And I got my picture with Adam Carolla. I did get to talk to him for a little bit, but it wasn't the best conversation that I could think of, and it was kind of awkward a little bit. But that's it's just trying to do fast thinking. But I couldn't think of anything great to say. I mean, I could have said a lot of things, but I guess I remember saying like how was Dr. Drew and Jimmy Kimmel, um, because I associate those two with Adam Carolla a lot. So that was the first thing I thought of, but I don't think it went that well. And I guess Adam Carolla gave me like a one-word response, or not really a response anyway. Here's the funny part. So apparently his agent or lawyer had volunteered to take a photo for me with Adam Carolla. And the guy told me he was a Raiders fan because I was wearing my Chargers cap. The thing is, this lawyer agent of Adam Carolla, the pictures that he took of me with Adam Carolla, and it was not the first time it actually happened at the mic drop, it comes out blurry. Oh, I should have known better, but I don't have a choice. Somebody has to take the picture. Um, but here's the thing, though. So I took a picture with Kimbles already. Now that I've already taken my picture with Adam Carolla, the last person I need to take a picture with is Brad Williams. Problem is, he never came out. So when the announcement was that they're going to take pictures by the exit, after I got my picture with Adam, I kind of stepped to the side and I was right beside security. Well, so About a few minutes had passed, and there was a security guard behind me that had asked me, uh, "What are you doing? And what are you planning here?" And then I guess I just simply told him I wanted a picture with Brad. The security guard behind me said, "I don't know who Brad is. Are you going to get in line for Adam Carolla?" And then I said, "No, I I got my picture with Adam already, but do you know if Brad's going to come out? Because I would want a picture with him." Uh, so I guess it stopped talking for like maybe a few seconds, but the next thing that I remembered was the security guard behind me then raises his voice, says, "You're not listening to me. I gave you an option. Either get in line for the Atom or you have to leave." And all I said again to the guy was, all I wanted was a picture with Brad. Do you guys know if he's going to come out? And then the guy says, uh, I think he said, "Yo, Vince," or "Yo, Vincent." I don't know. He was calling the guy because there's no security guard in front of me, and he called to him and then says to him, "Yo, Vince," or something. This guy wants to take a picture with Brad, but he won't leave. And so now it became a situation because this was said very audible to the people that was actually in line. So they were bearing witness that I'm calmly just standing there next to security, and now this security guard, who has now been raising his voice to try to get me to leave the comedy club because I was waiting for a picture with Brad, and I wouldn't get in the line again for Adam because I already have my picture with Adam. But the guy says, "I don't know who Brad is." So the guy in front of me, I guess his name is Vince or something, and he said, like, "Wait, what's going on?" Yeah, if you're not going to be in line for Adam, we're trying to get people to leave the comedy club. Trying to push everybody out. So all I said was, "Do you know if Brad, the comic, was going to come out?" And the guy says, "I don't know who Brad is," um, even though he was just on stage, like one of the biggest acts out there, and they don't know who he is. The thing is, they said, "I don't know who Brad is," but they also said, "Well, Brad has already left." So for them to say that I don't know who Brad is, how do you know Brad left and you don't know who he is? So yeah. Um, so because the security guard behind me has started to raise his voice, I can tell that it's going to get to a point where if I didn't leave in the next minute, I think he was going to physically remove me from the comedy club. Honestly, I don't know what I would have done. I don't know if I would have fought back or something, or just simply just let them escort me out. But I knew the moment I didn't see Brad anymore on the main floor, and he wasn't going to be anywhere close to where Adam and Kimbles was for the pictures. I knew then and there that I was not going to get my picture, so I lost my opportunity. So I did leave um, on my own, but I would say technically I got kicked out of the comedy club. So, um, so technically I did miss my opportunity because when I first saw Brad taking pictures by the stage, I should have done that right away. But because I saw Kimbles first, I want to say hi and talk to her. So I guess I have to try again at another venue, at another show. Hopefully, I get to talk to Brad at some point. So I would like the opportunity. Um, but yeah, it was pretty intense with security, and this isn't my first time angering making security mad at me about something. There was that one time at the Laugh Factory. Um, I took a picture of the comedian that was on the stage. It wasn't the one I was there to see. It was a comedian by the name of Trey Stewart, but I was there to see um, what was his name? Uh, Brendan Schwab, former MMA fighter, former UFC fighter, who's now tried his hand in comedy. But I usually do this thing where I take pictures at a show, but the security guard behind me came up to me and says, I could throw you out for that. And honestly, when I went into the club, no one ever told me there's no photography or no videography. The video I get, but the no photo thing? I mean, if you told me beforehand, I wouldn't have taken the photo. But the website never says it, nor did anyone at the front told me about that before I went in. And yeah, so I've only gone into the Laugh Factory twice. One for Brendan Schwab and one for Zhao Ying Summers. But ever since, I have not gone in ever since because, that kind of deters me from going because, you know, you would think that when you go to these comedy clubs, you're there for a positive experience, but I can have thick skin, but I can also say what's on my mind too. So, as great of a show it can be, but I will talk about like the little things too, like what would happen if you had a thing going on with the waiting staff or security. So, and this is one of those times I will talk about it, despite whatever criticism might come from this. But still, another incident was probably at the Comedy Store where a security guard um, had asked if I had a ticket, and I told him that Camille Waters, one of the comedians who was on the show, um, put me on their guest list. And I show my ID, and of course my ID has my real name on it, but I go by Tony. But Camille put one of my other names on there, which is Tiggy. So, of all the times I've gone to the Comedy Store in La Jolla and the same security guard, I don't know if his name is Mark or Chris or something, but he had me step to the side because I can't verify that my name on the guest list is what says on my ID card since they're different names. And the waiting staff at the Comedy Store knows who I am, but unfortunately, the security guard is playing by the rules, and because my name doesn't match, I have to step to the side and let other people go in. And of course, Camille Waters sees me, and she comes up and says, Tony is on the list here. But she put the name Tiggy on there, so the guy gets kind of intense, honestly, and internally, I'm like just like in disbelief that he is really this picky. He says he doesn't know who Camille is, who he just took her ID to get into the comic club, and says I don't know who she is. Like she doesn't know who anyone is, honestly. So I guess that's security talk for I don't give a shit. I don't care at all. Other than that, I am kind of weary about going to the comic club, but I'll go to support the comics because I support all of them. But I have to anticipate that I'm going to have to deal with this guy every single time because he's the main guy who runs security. Um, and then there was a time at the mic drop. This one, I don't know if it's really much of an incident, but Mikey Perry actually had me step away from the main security person. I think her name is Phoenix. And I guess she's really stickler for the rules. I was waiting for Rachel Sterling to come back out from the green room because I had something to ask her. And I just saw her show. We had a good rapport. The thing is, I didn't even notice I was even doing it, but I was kind of waiting, um, like I guess like out in like what they call a hallway, and it's like in between the main room and the gold room. And of course, it's also close to the restrooms and the green room, so they're all close to each other. And I happen to be kind of like close because I had thought that maybe Rachel Sterling was going to come back out, and I was going to ask her something, and then her other, I guess one of her fans, I think his name is Victor, but he also went by the name Sean. But honestly, I don't know what's his real name. But I saw him, and then I just kind of waited for a few minutes because I anticipated that she was going to come out, and I was going to run into her, and I was going to ask her a question. This has never happened before, but Mikey comes up to me and says like, "Hey, could you come with me?" And so I went with him, and he wanted me to be away from Phoenix because Phoenix has already targeted me as a guy that's just waiting, wandering for one of the comics, and I just told Mikey that I'm just waiting for Rachel because I have something to ask her. Um, and he said like, can you text her or something about what you need from her? It's like, oh, okay. I was just curious. Can you confirm that she's actually back there? Because I have something to ask her. But I don't think it was more of like, can he really do it? Because he needs me to be away from Phoenix. The thing is, I just realized that, oh, yeah, I guess it's like a thing where fans can't be like hanging around waiting for comics and stuff. So, and I get that. Uh, but yeah, that's kind of an incident that happened at the mic drop. So, I guess in a way, I guess, um, those are my incidents with security. So, what can you do? Uh, I guess I seem to be a threat. I look like a threat. Can you guys tell me if I look like a threat? So, uh, yeah, but it's not gonna stop me from going to comedy shows because I still do what I do, and I I still walk to the beat of my own drum, so to speak. So, yeah. Uh, so yeah. Um, Going back, I I did go to a new sushi place. So it's called Insu Sushi. It's in Del Mar. It's close to the El Pueblo Del Mar that I go to when I go get some cheap fish tacos. As I was trying to figure out what this sushi place was, I found out it's actually close by and right behind the El Pueblo. So I decided to stop by because I wanted to watch the second half or the fourth quarter of the game two of the NBA Finals, the Miami Heat and Denver Nuggets. By the way, that was a great game, and the Miami Heat held on to beat the Denver Nuggets, so the series decided 1-1. Um, I'm glad the Miami Heat fought back and they pretty made sure they won. And now Game Three is heading back to Miami, and the series decided 1-1. So hopefully, Miami can have the opportunity to go ahead in the series and get closer to an NBA championship. So we'll see what happens. Um, so yeah, as I was watching the game, I had some hot tea. I had their pot stickers steamed. It was really good actually. Their pot stickers. Their I also had a roll. It was the Midnight Dream roll. Kind of spicy, but it was pretty good. I would say the pot stickers was 8.5 out of 10. They're really good though. Um, I really like because there's nothing wrong with it, honestly. Um, I enjoyed it, and just to dip into the sauce, and make their pot sticker their pot sticker or dumpling, pretty tasty, and I would have them again actually. Uh, it wasn't the best, but honestly, I would actually keep having that actually if I go again. And then the midnight roll, the midnight dream roll. So I think it's one of their most expensive rolls. I think it was like $29, but it was good. Like it was like albacore and spicy tuna, I guess. So, and it has like these little black pearls. I guess they're called ebi. So that was really good stuff. And overall, I really liked it. The roll was like a 8.8 out of 10. Mainly because it can be a little hard to pick up with chopsticks. So um, I usually like the fact that if it doesn't fall apart if you try to pick it up with chopsticks, that's usually a high grade for me. But this one, I had to kind of compensate, try to keep it on my chopsticks without letting it fall apart too much. So, but overall, 8.8 for the sushi roll. The Midnight Dream. Um, and let's see. I mean, earlier in the day, I did have um, a beef noodle soup with beef balls and well done steak. Pretty much a pho jin baving. So it's really good. I like their broth. I like their noodles, and their well done steak is pretty good, and their beef balls are pretty good too. Overall, I would say their pho was like a 8.7 out of 10. So also I had their the pork sausage rolls. Um, I would say it was pretty good, except there was something about the mini egg roll that's inside. So when you have a pork sausage roll, um, it has your normal like the rice vermicelli, a little bit of lettuce, some bean sprouts, and cilantro to go with the pork sausage. But they also put in a little mini egg roll, so it has a little crunch when you bite into it, right? Problem is, the the mini egg roll was a little stiff, so I had to really bite into it to kind of chew and get it to the point where you can swallow it. So I would say it was probably an 8.4 out of 10. Normally, I don't have that tough of a time to bite into the mini egg roll when it's inside a um, nemnung goikung or nemnung gung. Um, so the thing is, now that I've kind of started reviewing food, like I kind of try to pay attention to the little things, and that was one of those little things. Like I shouldn't have a tough time eating it, but most of it I could eat it. But then I had to kind of labor to eat the mini egg roll that was inside my nem nem goong. So yeah, just being honest. Um, and then yeah, other than that, let's see. Oh, I did get to see some Padres. Padres did split with the Chicago Cubs, and Padres ended up shutting out the Chicago Cubs 5-0 on Monday night, and they shut them out like, what was it, 7-0 on Saturday? But unfortunately, the or 6-0 on Saturday. But the problem is, Padres lost to the Cubs 2-1 on Friday, and they lost to the Cubs 7-1 on Sunday. So At least to split the series. Um, Other than that, the Golden Knights of Vegas, they really look really good. They won 5-2 in game one, and they just won moments ago 7-2 in game two to take a 2-0 series lead. And now game three is going to be in Florida, and the Vegas Golden Knights are up 2-0. They are already halfway to the Stanley Cup, so hopefully the Florida Panthers can fight back. Um, so I'm kind of hoping the Panthers can fight back, make this series. Um, Game three for the NBA Finals is Wednesday night, so can't wait for that. Hopefully, the Miami Heat will take the lead against the Denver Nuggets. There was some UFC action. Albazi won by split decision over Cara France. That was a fun fight, though. Part of me kind of thought Cara France was about to win, but I think it was also close enough for Albazi to squeak out a victory. So, but good match. Other than that, I'm waiting for UFC 289. Um, Nunez versus Aldana. The thing is, I won't be able to watch it live because I'm going to a birthday party. Um, it's Melissa's birthday party, Melissa Wiseman's birthday party. She's turning 30. Yay! But overall, I should be able to watch the highlights and figure out who won, right? So, all right, guys. I have a good comedy show to go to tomorrow. Hollywood Comedy Store. Camille Waters and Lucy Love are going to be up there for the roast battle. They got invited because they did so well in San Diego.